Cause, a principle, aim, or movement that because of a deep commitment, one is prepared to defend or advocate. Karibu. Karibu is a Kiswahili word that means welcome. Welcome, you found yourself in a peaceful place, a place where you can grow and develop, and we hope grow and develop to your fullest potential. This is a podcast that we hope will expand your mind and raise your consciousness. Welcome to The Cause, conversations on music, history, and democracy. Over the course of its career, hip-hop has developed a notorious and even self-perpetuating reputation as a spectacular cultural movement committed to defying the cultural and political mainstream. But as the borders of the hip-hop nation continue to expand, its biggest and most important battle is shaping up to be the one it is having with itself. Behind the explosive record sales, trend-setting cachet, and burgeoning economy is an intense struggle for the soul of the hip-hop movement. There has never been a consensus within hip-hop about its purpose, identity, or destiny. In fact, the most robust debates about hip-hop have always taken place within the movement. Hip-hop has and continues to be its most potent critic and courageous champion. S. Craig Watkins. Hip-hop matters, pop culture, and the struggle for the soul of a movement. Welcome to the Cause Podcast. And today, our great cause, rap music. Yeah, rap music. Some people call it street poetry. But today we're talking about rap music, one of my favorite topics. In fact, I feel like I have been having this particular cause just waiting in the wings. So now that we've got 10 episodes of the podcast out there, today, our great cause is rap music. Let's explore the roots of rap music. In order to explore the roots of rap music, we first have to sort of grapple with some of the major elements of hip-hop culture. And so if you were in my introduction to hip-hop studies class, this is how I would start it. To talk about rap, we have to understand the elements of hip-hop. So here are the 5 elements. Number 1, MCing/rapping. So that's the first one. Rap music is one of those major elements. Number 2, DJing. So we got these incredible wordsmiths rapping, and then we got the DJs providing the music. So as you know, part of the hip hop aesthetic we say is beats and rhymes. So you can't just listen to the big beats without checking for the rhymes, the poetry. So they go together. So number 1 was rapping. Number 2, DJing. Number 3, breakdancing. And we're talking about B-girls, B-boys, and B-people because gender is incredibly fluid amongst the hip-hop generation. Number 4, graffiti/aerosol art. Yeah, aerosol art. Check that out. They have shown a lot of hip-hop artistry, a lot of hip-hop visual art in museums and galleries all around the world. So it's not just something to dismiss. Oh yeah, this is an art form. All right, so number 4, graffiti. Number 5, the 5th element of hip-hop, which most people don't check for, most people don't know. The 5th element of hip-hop is knowledge. Knowledge of self and knowledge of society. So that's why you're going to see this whole sociology of music thing where you're not going to really be able to understand rap music and hip hop culture if you don't understand what's going on historically, culturally, socially, politically, and economically. So rap music is so much more than music, and it's giving a lot of people who have been invisible or at the margins, we're bringing them to the center. So these voices that have been muted, we're handing them a microphone. That's rap music, the real rap music. And so now we go into some of these other elements of the roots of rap music. All right, so today, this is what you said you wanted. You wanted the hip hop professor to give you a lesson, an introduction to rap music and hip hop culture. So this particular episode is actually part one of a two-part series that we're going to be doing. The first one is on the roots of rap music, and the second one is on the hip hop movement. And so in order to really understand the roots of rap music, we need to understand this thing called hip hop studies. And so when I say hip hop studies, notice that this is an academic field, and I'm fixing to use some $25 words for you, but I'm going to break it down like some of my favorite rappers. All right. So hip hop studies, this entails an academic area of critical inquiry. It is simultaneously interdisciplinary and intersectional. When we say interdisciplinary, we mean using two or more, three or more academic disciplines to engage rap music and hip hop culture. So that would be something like political science, sociology, history, psychology, bringing those to bear on rap music and hip hop culture. But also in turn, how does rap contribute to psychology? How does rap contribute to an academic discipline like history or political science or sociology or economics? And hip hop studies is also intersectional, meaning that we are exploring the ways that race, gender, class, and sexuality free float through rap music, right? And the way that rap is always seeming to comment a lot of the times on race relations, contemporary race relations, contemporary gender identity and sexuality, contemporary issues surrounding economics and economic exploitation, unemployment and underemployment. Rap deals with all of those different things. Also, there's an emphasis on the extra musical elements of rap music. So not simply rap as a form of music, but rap is also a form of social commentary and political critique. It's extra musical. It's not simply music to us. It's so much more. In fact, we say that real rap music is multifunctional. So it serves many different functions, many different purposes. Next, rap music is a form of cultural expression. It's also can be considered a form of political activism, particularly activism, digital activism. So it's not just, like our grandparents and parents. They don't just take it to the street. They might post it on their Facebook page. They might post it on IG, which is Instagram, or what used to be called Twitter, and now is called X. So you have a lot of digital activism and activism taking place in rap music. And in fact, the really radical rappers who are activists, they're called, wait for it, raptivist. I'm dropping mics today. Let me pick it back up because I got to keep teaching. All right. Once rap is understood to be a soundtrack for a social movement, so a social movement part, that's what's going to be called the hip hop movement. That's going to be the topic of the next episode. And so when we start thinking about this thing called rap music and hip hop culture, in essence, we could focus on these things: music, dance, film, fashion, language, literature, and visual art. So it encompasses so much more than merely music. This music has inspired dance. We all know that. This music has influenced film. Anybody goes back and looks at Spike Lee's Do the Right Thing, or New Jersey Drive, or Boys in the Hood, or Poetic Justice, or even Colors. These were incredible films in the 1980s coming into the 1990s that really rap music has had an impact on the film industry. Rather, rap music and hip hop culture has had an impact on the American film industry. Check this out. Rap music has influenced fashion. So rap music and hip hop culture have influenced fashion. We all know, you know what I'm saying? You got that B-boy stance, you got that fly girl gear on, right? And so rap music and hip hop culture have definitely influenced contemporary fashion. And then of course, language. Come on now. We already know what's up. This is what makes the way, I teach this class, my hip hop class so different than a lot of my colleagues, because I'm using a lot of hip hop lingo, a lot of hip hop vernacular culture, if you will, to express myself. And the students just vibe with it. It's really, really important to understand the hip hop linguistics. We can study the way that there's a whole generation that are moving away from mainstream standard forms of American English. And that's what we mean when we say hip hop culture. So it's not simply rap music, but we're also talking about hip hop culture. In fact, here's where I put the quote by KRS-One, where KRS-One said, rap is something that you do. Hip hop culture is something that you live. It's a philosophy. It's a way of life. It's a worldview and a value system. Okay. Really, really important to understand that part about hip hop culture. All right. Rap music and hip hop culture have definitely influenced contemporary literature, whether we turn to novels, short stories, or poetry, or even plays. Again, I've already shouted out Spike Lee. We could also shout out Tyler Perry, John Singleton. I could do this all day. Ava DuVernay. There's so many filmmakers who have laced their work, and not just African-American filmmakers, but filmmakers across the board who have a lot of hip hop. The hip hop aesthetic is sort of free floating through a lot of contemporary American cinema. And then lastly, visual art. The way that rap music and hip hop culture speak to and have influenced visual art, whether we talk about graffiti or whether we talk about murals, whether we talk about paintings, sculpture. There's so many ways in which the hip hop aesthetic now has linked up with the larger contemporary art scene. And it's really, really incredible. So again, looking at the broader influence of hip hop culture and rap as a soundtrack to this thing called the hip hop movement. But again, we're focusing on rap today. We're going to focus on the hip hop movement in the next episode. Moving on from there. If somebody were to ask me, and my students ask me this all the time in the classroom, I really, really want to emphasize the interdisciplinary nature of what it is that we're calling hip hop studies, because there are a lot of non-believers. There are a lot of professors who push back and say, is that a serious academic area? How can you really, how can students be getting credits to study rap music and everything? And again, we're not simply studying rap music. This is an academic discipline called hip hop studies. Check this out. So within hip hop studies, when we talk about interdisciplinarity, some of the major disciplines that we're drawing from to do our work would be, I'm finna roll call, history, sociology, political science, economics, literature, education, communication studies, performance studies, and musicology. Okay? You could throw off in there psychology, right? You could throw off in there, there's so many different areas, anthropology. It's really, really important to see how expansive, and I have sat on committees for students, honors theses, master's theses, doctoral dissertations, and they have been, getting degrees in history or sociology or political science or English or comparative lit or humanities or musicology, right? And so again, it's incredibly interdisciplinary, almost insurgently interdisciplinary. So it's really, really important to understand how interdisciplinary hip hop studies is. Now, the next part we said intersectional. When we say intersectional, we mean that you can learn a lot about major intersectional categories from listening to rap music, right? And from studying hip hop culture. Let me roll call. You can learn a lot about race and racism listening to rap, gender and patriarchy and misogyny listening to rap, class and capitalism listening to rap music now, sexuality, and perhaps a lot of heterosexism queer phobia, transphobia, listening to rap music. You can learn a lot about spirituality and religious intolerance, right? Listening to rap, environmentalism and environmental justice. This is all within rap music. You can learn all of these different things, particularly in my class when I isolate a particular song or we focus on a particular video and we just sort of go deep into it. Not simply just the beats, but what about this incredible poetry? And so all the time my students ask me, how I came to have this love affair with this thing called rap music. And it goes really back to my love affair with the Harlem Renaissance. And we're going to do a whole podcast episode on the Harlem Renaissance. But for me, rap music and hip hop culture, in fact, the hip hop movement is nothing but a remix of the Harlem Renaissance. And because most people don't know very much about the Harlem Renaissance, they can't see what hip hop has inherited from the Harlem Renaissance. Of course, I'm nodding to the title of my first book on hip hop, which is called Hip Hop's Inheritance. In that book, I look at what rap music and hip hop culture inherited from the Harlem Renaissance and the Black Arts Movement. Okay, the Black Arts Movement of the 1960s and the 1970s. So anyway, it's really important here to understand that inheritance for a lot of marginalized groups, a lot of underclass and working class youth, what we inherited was not houses and cars and silver spoons and nice dishes and all those family heirlooms and all of that. We inherited culture. We inherited music. We inherited art and aesthetics, and we've used that to create a multi-billion-dollar-a-year industry called the hip-hop industry. All right, so now that we have that framework, y'all know I like to provide a conceptual framework, right? I think it's really important to know some of the context in order to interpret the text. So the way I teach in my class, the context is American history. It's American culture. It's American social systems and political systems and economic systems. That's the context. The text is going to be rap. So we need to understand. So basically, I'm actually able to teach a lot about American history and American culture by focusing on rap music. And the first form of rap music, they called it old school rap. Of course, they didn't call it that. We kind of called it that after the fact. But I'm thinking about, so today I just want to focus on between 1979 and 1987-ish, around that kind of area, like this first wave, if you will, maybe the first and second wave of rap music. But when I say old school rap, I'm thinking about the first rap hit record. It was called Rapper's Delight, and it's by the Sugar Hill Gang. You see, I am Wonder Mike, and I like to say hello. Up to the black, to the white, the red, and the brown, and the purple, and yellow. But first, and Rapper's Delight, most people don't realize, was actually produced by Sylvia Robinson. Sylvia Robinson was actually a soul singer. So let's get this straight. Even though contemporary rap music is associated with a lot of misogyny and a lot of patriarchy and a lot of toxic masculinity, the very first hit rap hit record was produced by a woman. That means that rap actually starts on a hip-hop feminist note. Just think about it. The very first hit record, major record that most of us ever heard, the very first rap most of us ever heard, was produced by an African-American woman. Not a man, an African-American woman. We talking about hip-hop feminism today. This is incredible. A baby bubba to the boogie, then bang bang the boogie to the beat. Beat is so unique. Come on, everybody, and dance to the beat. And from there, Sylvia Winter went on to produce one of my all-time favorite groups. This is a quote-unquote rap girl group. They're called The Sequence. And these are three of the baddest MCs or femcs you have ever heard. And yes, we are going to do a whole episode on hip-hop feminism. It's coming. You gotta keep tuning in. right? So on the same record label, Sugar Hill Records, you have the Sugar Hill Gang, which put out Rapper's Delight, but you also have a group that put out even more records than the Sugar Hill Gang. They were called The Sequence. So this rap girl group called The Sequence. If you want to listen to some music, go back and get The Sequence. They really, they gonna show you the roots of rap music. So again, along with the Sugar Hill Gang, Rapper's Delight, check out The Sequence. From there, we can go on and talk about Curtis Blow. I mean, the iconic, the legendary Curtis Blow, one of the first great rap solo artists. From there, we could also go on to talk about the Treacherous Three. From the Treacherous Three, we could go on to Houdini. Houdini, who dropped this song called The Freaks Come Out at Night. The Freaks Come Out at Night. And so when they were saying the freaks come out at night, they were talking actually about crackheads. So they were, see, a lot of people who don't know, they don't live in the hood, they don't live in the projects, they don't live in the barrio or the slums or the ghetto. They didn't realize they was not talking about zombies. They were not talking about sex. They were actually talking about crackheads. They would come out at night, people who were addicted to crack rock during those years. This is going to be really important. And then, of course, we have to talk about Africa Bambaataa, particularly the record Planet Rock. You want to talk about Afrofuturism, go back and listen to Africa Bambaataa's Planet Rock. Wow. Okay, so you have like this interface of rap music with techno and electro and these sort of futuristic sounds, at least for the 1980s, these futuristic sounds. And so now you have the connects between hip hop culture and technology coming out, because what else is an 808, that drum machine, right? These synthesizers, the way we were scratching records and developing turntablism. This is all like African Americans interface, right, with technology, really important. And then arguably one of the most iconic old school rap groups, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five. If you want to really listen to some music, go back and listen to a song called The Message by Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five.
Are you ready to dive deep into the rich histories, cultures, and arts of Africa and the African diaspora? At the Center for African and African American Studies, affectionately known as The Cause, we're leading the way in research, arts, and student engagement at the University of Colorado, Boulder. The Cause is more than just a research center. It's a space where students, faculty, artists, allies, and activists come together to explore African and African American experiences, from historical legacies to modern cultural expressions. And at the heart of it all, our students, playing a central role in everything we do. They're the future of this important cultural legacy, working side by side with faculty on groundbreaking projects and events that impact not just the campus, but the community and wider world. Research projects and events that impact not just our beloved CU campus, but the community and world at large.
Our mission? To foster academic excellence, social responsibility, and artistic expression, with programs that inspire leadership and advocacy for social justice. Whether you're interested in visual arts, music, or deepening your understanding of African American culture, The Cause is the place for you.
But we can't do it alone. The Cause relies on the generous support of our community to continue making a difference. By giving to the Center for African and African American Studies, you help us expand research, create opportunities for artists, support our students, and drive meaningful social change. And right now, your gift will go even further. All donations will be matched by CU Boulder Chancellor Justin Swartz for up to $1 million or until May 30th, 2026. To make your impact today, visit colorado.edu center/cause and click on Support the Cause. Every contribution, large or small, brings us closer to a future of unity, knowledge, and transformation.
So, if you're looking for a community where history, culture, and creativity converge, visit the Center for African and African American Studies at CU Boulder. Come join the cause and be a part of a movement for unity, knowledge, and social change.
Learn more and give today at colorado.edu/center/cause. We can't wait to welcome you to the cause.
So, rap music starts with a message rap. Okay, really, really important to understand the messages in rap music. And part of the message rap was a response to Reaganomics. It was a response to this whole notion of a war on drugs and a war on crime and so on and so, and the rise of crack cocaine and the rise of the prison industrial complex. All these things are happening during those Reagan years, right? Between 1981 and even extended into the first Bush presidency by the time you get Bill Clinton off in there in 1993. And so there's about a 12-year period to where you have the slashing of so many social services, arts programs, all kinds of education issues that they're cutting, housing for working class and poor people. And so when you have that happen, it's like a cauldron that's bubbling over. And so since a lot of the folks felt invisible and they felt like their voices were muted, this thing called rap music exploded on the scene in the 1980s. So those are really the pioneers of rap music who we just roll called the Sugar Hill Gang, the Sequence, Curtis Blow, the Treacherous Three, Houdini, Africa Bambaataa, and the Zulu Nation. And then, of course, Grandmaster Flash and the Furious Five with the message. We go from the pioneers of rap to the popularizers of rap music. So understand I'm making a distinction between those people who really sort of laid the foundation for it, that first wave. And then you have rap music that's going to basically go out of the ghetto straight to the suburbs. And these are the people that help to popularize rap beyond the hood, beyond the ghettos, beyond the projects, beyond the vadios, right? And so some of those popularizers of rap music would be, I'm going to say it slow, Ron DMC, Ron DMC, LL Cool J, Salt and Pepper, Eric B. and Rakim, Slick Rick. Watch this. The Beastie Boys. I said it. Drop. The Beastie Boys. Everybody knows, Boulder, that the Beastie Boys' main idols, their main influences were, on the one hand, Ron DMC, and on the other hand, the Fat Boys. So the Beastie Boys are influenced by, let's say, this kind of party rap, message rap kind of vibe, but also comedy rap that's going on. And these are some of those early genres, if you will, of rap music. But I want to go on with some of these popularizers. You also have Roxanne Shante. The ladies are right there. Holla. I already said Salt and Pepper, but you got Roxanne Shante. You got Mantronics. You got Stetsasonic. Ooh, you got Marley Marl. The Fat Boys. I've already done it. This is incredible to sort of look at it. And then everybody knows Ron DMC, one of the first rap groups to ever go platinum. And following quickly on the heels of Ron DMC, you've got the Beastie Boys. The Beastie Boys who started out as a punk rock band, okay? They started out doing punk rock and they got swept up into hip-hop culture and they said, yo, wow. Look at this new sound. It's so creative. So I just want you to see, when you start talking about groups like Ron DMC and the Beastie Boys, you're also talking about a much more integrated, if you will, American music industry. I'm not saying it was perfect. It was not. But the fact of the matter is, early on in terms of rap, in terms of by the mid-'80s, you have this iconic white rap group called the Beastie Boys. And we know they straight up some icons, to be perfectly honest with you, right? So you have no conception, no way to really sort of think about a Eminem, right? A Post Malone and a lot of these other folks today, unless you got to understand some things about the Beastie Boys and the way that they are refracting not simply music and rap music in America, but also America's prickly problems surrounding race. Mhm. So again, platinum. These records start going platinum, and that's when the music industry moved away from just sort of thinking about rap music as ghetto music. Nah, it literally it goes straight to the mainstream. It becomes really the pulse of the American music industry. So it's not just, what I'm saying, if you will, a black music, it becomes something that represents, after a while, an American music. And again, I'm thinking about the roots of rap music, not simply in African American culture, but in Caribbean culture, particularly the Jamaican sound systems. Right, where you have, in reggae music, they would call a rapper a DJ. And so literally, a DJ, a disc jockey, you're gonna ride that reggae rhythm and you're gonna chant over the beat. You're going to signify, you're going to testify, you're going to play the dozens, if you will, right? You're going to have a verbal cutting contest over the beat. And all of these are really, really big in terms of African diasporic cultures, the way that they played themselves out. This is really, really important to understand that when we start talking about rap music, we're actually talking about something that's rather old, something that goes all the way back to West Africa, to other parts of Africa, Central Africa, South Africa, East Africa, North Africa. There's always been these oral historians, these griots, these jalets, these people who really sort of capture the pulse of the village, the pulse of the people. There's always been these iconic, incredibly eloquent narrators and storytellers. And they are telling the story of that particular cultural group, that particular village, that particular nation state, our kingdom, our empire, our queendom. And look at how African Americans have remixed that within this American context. And this sort of industrialized and post-industrialized 1980s and 1990s, where they're moving toward more of a techno-capitalist economy. And so the music becomes more digitized. You got these big beats, you got these 808s, this booming sound. To me, as a drummer, that really sounds like some of the drums coming straight off the African continent, hitting those much lower tones, those much lower notes that the African talking drums could hit. And again, you can see even the music talked, it spoke. So here's also that connection between rap music and funk, where you've got all these polyrhythms going on. And we all know that early rap music was sampling primarily James Brown, Sly Stone, Parliament Funkadelic, George Clinton and Parliament Funkadelic. So there's a direct connection between funk music and rap music, if you will. There's a direct connection between disco, that disco vibe, right, and early rap music. If you go back and listen to the Sugar Hill Gang, Rapper's Delight, you'll see, wow, that's like a modified funk disco or disco funk groove that they rapping over. That's the first rap hit record, 1979. The roots of rap music. So this is just a little lesson. This is where we start, how do we frame it? But I've also talked about how a lot of the Reagan administration and the Bush administration between 1981 and 1993, how that actually impacted a lot of what is being rapped about. So in the hood, but also beyond the hood, right? From crack cocaine to the prison industrial complex to Section 8, welfare, right? And the slashing of welfare, the slashing of arts programs. This is really, really important for us to understand that rap is so much more than music. And so now I'm coming back to that point of the extra musical elements of rap music and hip hop culture. Oh, having fun with it. We're talking about the roots of rap music. So in terms of our poetic pause today, we got something really special for you. I'm going back. I'm going back to my days as a slam poet. I'm going back to my days as, somebody who, as a literary artist, there's a lot of my work that is situated somewhere between rap and poetry. And I think all those years of reading folks like Langston Hughes and Sonia Sanchez and Nikki Giovanni and Maya Angelou, you're going to hear some of that vibe here. But also somebody like me that, grew up listening to Salt and Pepper, to Ron DMC, to Tupac Shakur, to Diggable Planets, to the Roots, the legendary Roots crew out of Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. I mean, and so my work is situated somewhere between, I would say, the Harlem Renaissance, the Black Arts movement, and the hip hop movement. And I think that this is what you're about to hear, this piece, some of my own original music, if you will, for the Poetic Pause today, called Misse the Ghetto on Fire. Misse, right? You can see, so Ebonics and Patois, I'm mixing African-American vernacular culture with Jamaican vernacular culture here, showing this sort of Afro-diasporic element that is going on, and the fact that I can say and do things in poetry that I might not otherwise be able to really fully and freely express myself in another literary idiom, in another literary genre. And so there are topics I can touch on and things I can get at passionately in poetry, where I feel like I can't say that in any other way. And I think that's really saying something, because I done sit up here and written, a lot of books and a lot of journal articles and everything. And I think that I choose the literary form based on my subject, based on what I want to express, based on what I want to say. And so I want you to check it out here, this combination somewhere between rap music and slam poetry was the group. I want you to hear the funk elements. I want you to hear those R&B elements. I want you to hear those jazz elements and even some rock elements, because we got all of that up off in us, because all of these are Black popular musics anyway. So for me, the hip hop aesthetic is a recycling aesthetic. It's the major motif of the hip hop aesthetic is remix, is the remix. So when you listen to this, listen to the ways I'm remixing Langston Hughes' very first volume of verse. It was called The Weary Blues. He published it in 1926. One of my favorites, my beloved Langston Nathaniel Hughes. And so you're also going to hear the influence of Hakeem Matabuti, Emiri Baraka, Ishmael Reed. Again, I've already said Nikki Giovanni, Sonia Sanchez, but even Alice Walker's poetry, even James Baldwin's poetry. Even W.E.B. Du Bois has a volume of poetry. June Jordan, poetry. Audre Lorde, poetry. Lucille Clifton. So there's a way that I'm trying to really kind of get at the Black poetic tradition, the African-American poetic tradition. There's another way this song nods at the African-American songwriter, singer-songwriter tradition, going back to somebody like Bessie Smith and Louis Armstrong, and coming forward to somebody like Nina Simone, Richie Havens. There's so many of them. Marvin Gaye, Curtis Mayfield, Roberta Flack, Aretha Franklin. Again, singer-songwriters. What does it mean when we step to the mic? And finally, we know that if we say it, they're not going to hear it. But if we sing it, if we rap it, you might get a Grammy. Check it out. Misse the Ghetto's on Fire.
Blood, standing at the corner of 125th. Blood, popping, locking, hip-hopping, bebopping to the new Charlie Parker riff. And bloods be cutting. And bloods be killing. Yo! It's like Ron DMC said, you be illin'. And that was the way. And that was the way. That was the way yesterday. Blood! Chilling on the banks of the Nile when James Brown came with the camel walk. Blood was so cool he couldn't even talk about the Ma'afa that took the lives of so many thousands. That's gone. Blood was so cool he just knew we would live on. Forever in this blackness. Forever in this peace. As long as black is black, well, let me tell you, blood will never cease. And Donny Hathaway said, these are some trying times. And Donny Hathaway said, these are some trying times. Brother Donny Hathaway said, these are some trying times. Me say the ghetto's on fire. Me say the ghetto's on fire. Me say the ghetto's on fire. Lord, me say the ghetto's on fire. 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 Lord, me say the ghetto's on fire. Me say the ghetto's on fire. Fire, fire, fire. Me say the ghetto's on fire. Burn fire, don't die. Blood, chilling at the corner 125th. Yo, blood, popping, locking, hip hopping, bebopping to the new Charlie Barker rip, and blood be cutting. Yo, and blood be killing. It's like DMC. Yo, it's like Ron DMC said. You be illin', and you know that's the truth. And that was the way yesterday. And that was the way yesterday. And that was the way yesterday. Yesterday. Blood, chilling on the banks of the Nile when James Brown came with the camel walk. Bumping. Blood was so cool he couldn't even talk about the Ma'afa that took the lives of so many thousands. That's gone. No, they ain't gone. Blood was so cool he just knew we would live on. Forever. Keep on. Forever in this blackness. Come on. Forever in this peace. Oh, yeah. As long as black is black, well, let me tell ya, blood will never cease. And Donny Hathaway said, these are some trying times. Yo. And Donny Hathaway said, these are some trying times. Very trying, very trying, very. And Donny Hathaway said, these are some trying times. Me say. Blood, standing at the corner of 125th. Blood, popping, locking, hip hopping, bebopping to the new Charlie Barker riff, and bloods be cutting, and bloods be killing. Yo. It's like Ron DMC said, you be ill. And that was the way yesterday. And that was the way yesterday. Yo, that was the way yesterday. Blood, chilling on the banks of the Nile when James Brown came with the camel walk. Blood was so cool he couldn't even talk about the Ma'afa that took the lives of so many thousands. That's gone. Blood was so cool he just knew we would live on. Forever in this blackness. Forever in this peace. Yo, as long as black is black, well, let me tell you, blood will never cease. And Donny Hathaway said, these are some trying times. And Donny Hathaway said, these are some trying times. That's right, brother. And Donny Hathaway said, these are some trying times.
Me say the ghetto's on fire. Me say the ghetto's on fire. Me say the ghetto's on fire. Me say the ghetto's on fire.
All right, y'all. This is it. Here is the conclusion to the roots of rap music. So this is a part of our brand new hip hop studies series. So we're going to be doing selected episodes of the podcast devoted to different aspects, different elements of rap music and hip hop culture. And part of the point is to make this accessible to a wider audience, right? So it's completely cool if you don't know very much about rap music and hip hop culture, or if you have had a passing interest in it. This is the show for you. Please tell your friends, y'all gather around the boom box and come and get your lesson right? And I came to bless you, you know what I'm saying, with this thing called rap music and hip hop culture. I hope y'all can see that there are some overlap. There's some serious overlap here. Once you go to the real rap music, so not hip hop, but hip hop. So some of y'all have only been exposed to hip hop music, and that's going to be commercial rap music that they're playing on the radio. But rap music is so much deeper than what they play on the radio. And in fact, in my hip hop movement trilogy, I have identified more than 100 forms of rap music, 100 genres of rap music. And so it's really, really important to sort of be sensitive to the folks who are only aware of radio rap and gangster rap. So what about the other 98 forms, 98 genres of rap music? So we got a lot of episodes ahead of us that we can devote to some serious hip hop studies. In fact, what we call critical hip hop studies. So I'm not just talking about, whatever the hit records are, but what about mixing and start talking about some of this Q rap, which stands for queer rap, or some of this T rap, which stands for trans rap? What about a lot of the Chicanx rap and Latinx rap and Hawaiian rap and German rap and French rap, and they got rap all over Africa. I could do this all day long, and I don't even think I need to bring up all the femcs and all the hip-hop feminists out there. So we have a wing of rap music that's it's made by women and made for women. I'm just trying to give you some knowledge, drop some knowledge on you today, as we say in rap music and hip hop culture. But just an incredible episode. I feel so excited to inaugurate our hip hop studies series with lesson number 1, the roots of rap music. And so we are going to pick up where we are leaving off today in a future episode. We've got episodes that are going to take up political rap music and gangster rap music. And then we have another episode just on the overarching hip hop movement. So rap is nothing more than the soundtrack of a movement, of the major post-civil rights movement, post-women's liberation movement, post-brown power movement, and black power movement. It's called the hip-hop movement. And I really want to hip you all to this thing called the hip-hop movement. And of course, I'm nodding to my book of the same title. It's called the hip-hop movement. Well, thank you so much for joining us today. And thank you for joining the hip-hop movement. And what I'm trying to do here is to use rap music and hip-hop culture to build the beloved community. I'm trying to use rap music and hip-hop culture to turn some people toward allyship and allyhood. Many of the same people that are interested in being allies are also bobbing their heads right now to rap music and hip-hop culture. Oh, I'm doing it today. This is it. I gotta let you go. All right, y'all keep tuning in. And I just want to close out by saying, go out into the world, transform it, and don't harm it. As we say in hip-hop culture, each one, teach one. And I just want to end right here on this note. I could do this all day. Keep tuning in, because we got a lot more in store on the Cause Podcast.
Thank you for joining us for the Cause Podcast with Dr. Reiland Rabaka. If you'd like to contact Dr. Rabaka or the Center for African and African American Studies, email cause, CAAAS, @colorado.edu. For your letters, questions, and suggestions regarding the podcast, email us, thecause@gmail.com. CAAAS. We may even read your letter on the air. The Cause Podcast with Dr. Reiland Rabaka is produced and edited by John Arnold and is a production of the Center for African and African American Studies, The Cause, at the University of Colorado Boulder. For more information, visit us online at colorado.edu/center/cause, CAAAS.
Class is in session, so come and get your lesson. Ooh, the Cause podcast. I love that. Do you love that?